Tropical storm Idalia is threatening to bring floods and a storm surge in the U.S. states of South Carolina and North Carolina. Earlier, it tore into Florida as a hurricane, causing large-scale destruction. Authorities are still assessing the extent of the damage in the hardest-hit areas. In the wake of the storm, the U.S. government has declared a public health emergency in Florida.
The aftermath of a Category 3 hurricane that slammed into the coast with the speed of a fast-moving train. Authorities had to issue mandatory evacuation orders for low-lying areas before floods turned Florida's coastal roads into rivers and left hundreds of thousands without power.
I open my door and I see a river outside. The water's going down. They're saying that the high tide's going to come back up, but I don't see it getting any worse. So I'm here back at my home trying to make the best out of a worse situation.
With roads swamped, this Florida couple found an alternative way to leave their flooded home.
Good thing we had the kayaks. We had to get the truck out of there. It's about to go underwater. So we're just out checking out the neighborhood, seeing if we can do anything to help.
Search crews were deployed to help residents stranded in the vast but lightly populated area. Despite the extensive property damage, Florida's governor said the cleanup process was off to a good start.
So far, all signs have been positive. There is, of course, a lot of debris to clean up, but we will get working with that with the local communities to make sure that the roads are cleared and people can go back to their lives.
Downgraded to tropical storm after passing through Florida, Idalia is sweeping through Georgia and South Carolina.
Short while ago, I spoke with Matthew Capucci, who's been following the storm. He's a meteorologist and atmospheric scientist for the MyRadar app. Speaking to me from Pensacola, Florida, he told us about the damage the storm has caused so far.
Yeah, most definitely. So this was a Category 3, a major hurricane with winds approaching 150 plus kilometers per hour. I was in Perry, Florida, right where it made landfall. And I have to say, it was very powerful, but very brief. It was a small hurricane, not super big, but suddenly as the eye wall, the inner ring of winds began to arrive, the winds gusted very strong all of a sudden. We got in that eye wall. We saw roofs peeled off buildings. We saw outbuildings, mobile homes, sheds actually flipped upside down, gas station canopies knocked over or peeled off, or brick buildings damaged. We saw vehicle damage, we saw flooding, all sorts of things like that. And then suddenly we got into the eye, the oasis of calm in the middle of the storm. We saw the stadium effect of all the clouds wrapping around that almost clear eye. Birds were trapped inside the eye because they got sucked in by the storm. A very powerful storm. And we have records for hurricanes dating back to 1851, so nearly 175 years of observations, and there's never been in that span a major hurricane, Category 3 or greater, to hit the Big Bend of Florida until Idalia.
Okay, briefly, Matthew, can you tell us where Idalia is headed now, now that it's been downgraded to a tropical storm, and how dangerous is it now?
Yeah, so the storm is riding through the Carolinas right now. Its moisture is pooling along the cold front, leading to very heavy downpours with about 15 to 20 centimeters of rain possible in a few spots. Also tornadoes as well. We've seen several tornadoes touch down. The leftover changing winds with height or the spin caused by Idalia is causing individual storm cells to rotate, dropping those tornadoes. It'll finally push offshore in the next 6 to 12 hours. Its influence finally waning, but until then, still a dangerous system for some of the southeastern U.S.
Matthew, thank you very much. That was Matthew Capucci in Pensacola, Florida.